talking about the 4 agreements, don't make assumptions. You know, we've heard all these stories about when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, and it's because when you assume something, you move forward on unchecked ideas. They're all basically judgments that we really haven't the ability to honestly and earnestly prove. There are 3 things we can know for sure, and I'll tell you about them during the service. But in the meantime, we could look at some of our unchecked assumptions. So we assume, like, if someone's wearing a wedding ring, they're married, right? We assume if someone's not wearing a wedding ring, they're not married. We assume sometimes if somebody had throat cancer, we assume, did you smoke? We assume that doctors and police officers are to be trusted. And we assume that car salesmen are not to be trusted at all. We assume that everyone is as liberal or as conservative as we are. That's good though, you know, those are good things when that happens. When our assumptions get blown, we get invited into a bolder conversation. You know, we assume that bad drivers are bad people. Isn't that sad? Like, well, this guy's an idiot. No, he's just, you know, doing his best, man. You know, we assume that we always are going to have enough time to get there. We assume that. And then we assume if someone's late that they don't care as much as we do. We don't give them the benefit of the doubt. We assume young people are lazy, that old people are crabby, that blonde people are stupid, and that redheads are more fun. But the last one is true. So assumptions bring us to a state of blindness. We no longer see the truth. We only see the unquestioned stories. Miguel gives us these 4 agreements. And one of them is don't make assumptions. But what the heck does that mean? So he has his 4 agreements, and I have my 3 unquestionable truths. So there's 3 things that you can know for sure. Number 1, you can question them if you want to, but it's not going to change them. Number 1, God loves you. That's an unquestionable truth. You can question it, you can, go blind to it, but it will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth for as long as you have breath and beyond. God loves you. Number 2, right here and right now, in this present moment, you can know everything in this present moment. Right now, I know I'm in a church. I know that it's sunny out. This I can know. I know that I know most of the people in this room. I know that. I know that I'm wearing high heels. These are things that I can know. So they're unquestionable. I know this to be true. It's unquestionable. And then the third thing is, aside from knowing that God loves me and knowing that I know exactly what I can see, experience, and feel, the rest of it, I have no idea. That's the third thing I can be totally sure about. There is so much I do not know. And that is where we get into trouble. When we think we know something, we start making up truths. You might want to argue this, and you might want to say, no, Maureen, there are certain things that I really do know. I'm kind of an expert on, say, planets, like I know all of the planets, and I've been studying them for forever, and I'm sort of like, an expert on planets. And then what happens is sometimes they say, this is no longer a planet. And oh wait, there's some new planets, and you're like, oh, I thought I knew that. And you could say, I know how to speak Japanese. I studied this for so long, I know how to speak Japanese. And then you go to Japan and you're like, oh my God. I don't know how to speak Japanese at all. I don't understand anything that anyone's saying, You could say, I know I'm married. I know that I am married. This is the truth and the whole truth. And then you go home and your husband's making time with the neighbor and you're like, wait, what? We're married, right? And he goes, yeah, we're married. And you go, wait, I don't know what marriage means. Because you and I have a difference of opinion on what marriage means, and I'm assuming that you and I are assuming the same thing, and you realize your husband's speaking Japanese. So we get to return to those 3 unquestionable truths. So you can be sure about what's happening right now. You can be sure that God loves you. You can be sure that you're pretty much basically wrong about everything else. But that's the good news. That is the good news because it makes us willing learners. If we don't know that we don't know, we're going to come knowing, and we're going to come with a closed mind instead of an open mind. We know what we know. We know what we don't know. And what we don't know, what we don't know, we don't know. We don't know what we don't know, what we don't know. That's a whole gray area. It's a huge body of work, what we don't know, that we don't know, that we don't know. That's a lot of not knowing. We don't like that. We don't like not to know. So instead of, confessing, I don't know, we just start making stuff up and telling people that we know and taking educated guesses at what we think we know. And we're meaning maker-uppers, that's what we do. Assumptions are projections that come from a closed mind or woven from illusions of agreements that are not held up to question. So that's the cure-all. To question is what's going to heal it all. To ask a question is the cure-all. We don't question and we assume because we're lazy. I mean, that's the truth. We're lazy and we go, I don't want to know anymore. I'm just going to take what I know and move forward with that. Or we assume because we're afraid. Like if I question this, that's scary. I'm going out into the places I don't know. And then I'm going to have to be in the great mystery with God, which is really where we're supposed to be. But we don't want to go there. We'd rather stay in conformity, taking the form that's been given to us instead of living in the unknown, which is really beautiful and it's majestic and it's unhinged and unharnessed, and it's really a lovely place to be. And you've had glimpses of it. So we're afraid of going there. And also we assume because we want control. Like if I assume this, then it's very close to the illusion that I know this, and I'm going to tell you that I know, so that you think that I know, even though I don't know, but I'm going to make you think that I know, so that I feel special and in control and smart and authority, and I get a lot out of it. Don't get me wrong, we get a lot out of our assumptions. That's why we have them, because we get a lot out of it. But they keep us blind, and they cut off our creativity, because if we're not in the great majestic state with God, we're just conforming. That's just more conforming instead of creating. We're here to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. So we might say like, oh, like some assumptions, like, everyone who eats, plant-based diets are more conscious than me. We know that, people who carry guns are a certain way. And I could say, I have no agenda that includes carrying a gun. So I could have an assumption about what that means. But I don't know. The truth is, I don't know what that means. We could have assumptions about all kinds of things. That what's true for me is true for me. And I can tell you what's just true for me. I don't know what's true for you. I'd be curious to know, but I can only tell you what's true for me. So in that way, we're being asked not to share our authority or our past wisdom, but we're asked to share only our experience, strength, and hope. That's it. That's all we can share is our experience, strength, and hope. The rest is opinions and assumptions and witch hunting. If you like that kind of thing, there's a lot of witches to hunt if you're into that, but it is such an exhausting thing. The person that you're holding outside your heart, who you love running down, that's a witch hunt. It curbs your creativity. When we sum people up, he's always like this, she's always like that, they're always like this, vegans are like this, people who carry guns are like this. We all come to the table with so much. We all come to the table with so much information, and we sum each other up this way, that way, this way, that way, instead of getting down to the truth of the experience and why is that true for you? I'm curious. Why do you think that way and feel that way? But this is the thing. To question requires that we use our voices. And we are more afraid of our own voices. To question means I'm going to tell you what I need, instead of thinking and assuming that you should know what I like. You're not reading my mind. I've made some unspoken rules in the world and no one's following them. I didn't even speak it. I wasn't brave enough to tell you the truth because I'm afraid of my own voice. I'm afraid to question anything. So I'm just going to regurgitate everything that someone else says, and I'm just going to regurgitate all the news because I never want to come up with an original idea for fear that you're not going to like me or I'm not going to like myself or that I could change my mind. Here's the truth. You're going to consistently change your mind. It's okay for you to change your mind. Don't assume that once you decide on something that's solid and it's placed on your epitaph. Like, you can change your mind. That's the good news about A Course in Miracles. So we assume that people should know what we want. And everyone yet is a free agent. We're all free agents. No one has to play by my rules. And that's a really hard thing for the ego to hear. It's like, oh my gosh, I live in a world where no one's going to play by my rules. They're all coming with their own rules. They're like wrangling cats. So, but that is good, because nothing is learned on a well-manicured lawn with clear directions. Nothing's learned there. You know where we learn things? In the sloppy, muddy path where we're trespassing on our neighbor's lawn, and they come out and they're like, hey, and then we get messy with each other. And then we're like, oh, I'm learning something. I'm not just following some recipe. I'm in the experience. I know this because I'm in the experience. So the way to keep yourself from making assumptions is just to have the courage to speak up. That's why we call this SpeakEasy. That's why there's a time in this conversation for you to speak your truth, you know? That's why I host storytelling events, because it's important for me. Because there was a time in my life where I did not have a voice to speak up. You know, I was a little kid and I was so shy and scared of my own voice, you know? Now I can't shut myself up. And I think everybody should have the opportunity to have that type of liberation. So that's why we have these writing classes, that's why we have these retreats, that's why we have these communities of voice blocks and storytelling. That's why we're going to continue to create opportunities for artists to come together as, as creative incubators and celebrate the unique aspects of yourself and move into creativity as opposed to conformity. You and your community are like dry sponges yearning for this. We've all been conforming way too much, and we're yearning for a little bit of water. Be not afraid of your own truth. The fear of our own voice and our own truth is what causes all hell to break loose. Pandora is blamed for opening the trunk. But if she didn't open that trunk, there'd be no hope for the rest of us. Do you remember what was at the bottom of the trunk? The word hope. And so instead of stepping in and opening our own trunks, our own closets, looking underneath the rug, speaking the truth, we've shut the trunk and we've said, don't go there. Don't speak it, don't tell it, don't confess it. Because you're going to be different. You're going to make all hell break loose. But with every invitation for breaking through consciousness comes a light that says, I'm holding this to heal this. I'm capable of healing this. You are the hero of your own journey, going into that dark corner to bring back the elixir for everyone else. And until you go there, we're all waiting for you. All assumption comes from our fear of being seen, of being heard, of being intimate. I don't want you to know what's behind the picket fence. I want you to think everything's cool. We don't want you to know that. Nobody wants to know that. We have warts, we have riddles, we have wrinkles, we have saggy parts, This is life. It's beautiful. So it'd be best if we just confess to that and learn how to love that. Instead of judging everything from a safe distance, staying in control of it, and so that I can be right at the same time being dead wrong about it. We're looking at life through a little hole in a fence, This little peephole, it's our perception. We're looking through this peephole in a fence, and we see these things on the other side, and we start making up this big story about what we're seeing. But all of the time, we're from the safe distance. So we got to get into the story. We're going to get on the other side of the fence. We got to join the conversation. I want to close with a story. It's a story that we probably heard from Jesus in the Bible. He was speaking in a temple. All these people were gathering around him. And there were people in this temple who were saying, he's not all that in a bag of chips, and let's prove him wrong. So the teachers of the law, the Pharisees, brought in this woman, this adulteress. And they made her stand before the group, and they said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. And the laws of Moses command us to stone her." They were using this question as almost a trap, because they also heard him preaching love one another as I have loved you. And so here he is with the law and then his own gospel. And so he's stuck. They're going to say, what are you going to do? He looks away from the guilty. He looks away from the condemners, and he looks down at the earth, and he draws on the earth, and he's got them waiting. And he looks into himself. That intuition, that knowing of self. And from that place, he can deliver an option. And the option is the question. And the question is there anyone here who hasn't sinned? And that takes all of the assumption down to dust. And the oldest to the youngest have to leave. Because they know. They know who they are. They can't hide behind accusations and crucifixions. Does anybody here hasn't sinned? He actually points the finger right on our humanness. And he's like, how holy are we? Tell me how holy you are, that you can condemn another. And then he looks up and he sees this woman by herself. He says, where are your condemners? And she says, I don't know, Lord, they're gone. He says, well, I don't condemn you. And so you're free to go. So this is for us. We're every part of that story. We're the condemners. Look at what they're doing. We're the guilty. Oh my God, what have I done? And we're also the possibility of the Christ consciousness that says, hold up, there's another way of seeing this. Let's not make assumptions. Let's get creative here. Let's move into the unknown, past the law, and see if we can derive a sense of holiness about ourselves in the situation. Where have we been stoning ourselves? And where have we been stoning others? Where are you casting stones at your brother instead of speaking the truth? It would be a really nice, simple shift to move into. The truth is available to us all. God loves us. The only thing we can be sure about is what's happening right now. And beyond that, we don't know shit. And that's the word. Yeah.